What's up, everybody? It's JT Sports Max, you guys, with another video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about why the Dallas Cowboys will win the NFC in 2019 and why the Dallas Cowboys will represent the NFC conference and the Super Bowl for the 2019 NFL season. Now, I hate to admit this. I am a Steelers fan. I do hate the Cowboys with a passion, with every inch of my heart. And yeah, the Dallas Cowboys have annoying, obnoxious fan base that's always making outrageous Super Bowl claims, always reliving the glory days back in the 90s. But this season, Dallas Cowboy fans may actually be right. This Dallas Cowboys team, in my opinion, is the best team in the NFC, and they have the best chance to represent the NFC and the Super Bowl for the 2019 NFL season. Make sure to stick around, ladies and gentlemen, because in this video, I'm going to be talking about why the Dallas Cowboys will win the NFC in 2019. What's up, everybody? It's JT Sports. And this video, I'm going to be talking about why the Dallas Cowboys will win the NFC and why they will represent the NFC conference and the Super Bowl for the 2019 NFL season. Now, Dallas Cowboy fans always make these outrageous claims, talking about how they're going to win the Super Bowl, talking about how they're the best team in the NFL, talking about somehow how Dak Prescott is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, always talking about how Ezekiel Elliott is the best running back in the NFL, which isn't outrageous. It's actually a very good claim by the Dallas Cowboys, which is pretty debatable. But this year, these Dallas Cowboy fans, despite how in the past they normally are delusional, the Dallas Cowboys can actually make it to the Super Bowl. And they are my pick to win the NFC and represent the NFC conference and the Super Bowl for the 2019 NFL season. First, we have to look at the quarterback position. Dak Prescott, he may not be the flashiest guy. He may not be a guy who can carry a team to a Super Bowl, carry a team to the playoff, or even win a game for the Dallas Cowboys. But he is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, one of the better half of the quarterbacks in the NFL, top 15 at most. When he has talent around him, when Dak Prescott is surrounded with talent around him, he's a very good quarterback. And you don't have to have an elite quarterback to win the Super Bowl. It's been plenty of average, barely above average quarterbacks who have won Super Bowls in the past. Let's look at guys like Joe Flacco. He wasn't a top 10 quarterback in the NFL that year. Let's look at a guy like Eli Manning. Eli Manning wasn't one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. He wasn't even a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Let's look at Peyton Manning back in 2015 when he beat the Carolina Panthers and his Denver Broncos, led by that very talented defense of the Denver Broncos, to beat the Panthers in the Super Bowl that year. Peyton Manning was one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL that season because he was old, he was deteriorating, but he wasn't the Peyton Manning that we were accustomed to seeing over his career. At that point in his career, Peyton Manning was on his downfall. Father Time was finally catching up to Peyton Manning. And somehow, some way, him and the Denver Broncos found a way to win the Super Bowl that year. So you don't have to have an elite quarterback to win the Super Bowl. You just have to have a solid quarterback who's able to play within himself and the system and able to win the Super Bowl. And that's what Dak Prescott does. He plays within himself. He doesn't try to be anything that he's not. And he's a very good leader on and off the field. Then you look at a guy like Ezekiel Elliott, who is arguably the best running back in the NFL. He's a locomotive. He's a freight train. He's very hard to bring down. Every time he gets tackled, it seems like he's falling forward for 3, 4 extra yards. He's one of the best running backs in the NFL. Then we look at the wide receiving core for the Dallas Cowboys. Amari Cooper, who had a resurgence last season once he arrived on the Dallas Cowboys, semi-resurrected his career and the Dallas Cowboys as a whole, went to the Pro Bowl last season, was very productive. Then in free agency, they added Randall Cobb, who Randall Cobb isn't one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, but he's solid. He's another weapon for Dak Prescott to have on that offense and another weapon that Dak Prescott has to throw to. Then you have wide receiver Michael Gallup, who was the Dallas Cowboys' best wide receiver, in my opinion, before the arrival of Amari Cooper. So the Dallas Cowboys have a pretty solid wide receiving core. Then they also have Tavon Austin, who, although he hasn't lived up to the expectations that many people had for him when he got drafted by the LA Rams, back then the St. Louis Rams a couple of years ago, he's still a very solid wide receiver and a very solid slot wide receiver. He can be even better than what Cole Beasley was if he's able to be more consistent. So this Dallas Cowboys offense is pretty legit. And we're not even talking about the strength of their offense, which is the offensive line. The Dallas Cowboys still have one of the best offensive lines in all of football, even without their starting center and Travis Frederick, who is now returning to the Dallas Cowboys for the 2019 NFL season. And he's one of the best centers in all of football. And the center position is basically the quarterback of the offensive line. And now they're getting him back on top of the offensive line that was already very impressive last season. Let's talk about the two best players on the Dallas Cowboys offensive line last season. Left tackle Tyron Smith was ranked by Pro Football Focus as the ninth best offensive tackle in the NFL in 2018. Then you have right guard Zach Martin, who was ranked by Pro Football Focus as the second best offensive guard in the NFL last season. Then they also drafted a couple of guys. You still have Connor Williams, who I believe still has the potential to be a very good offensive lineman in the NFL. This offensive line is going to be the best in the NFL. And even if you say they don't have the best offensive line in the NFL, they still are going to have a top five offensive line in the NFL. And they probably have the best or second best offensive line in all of the NFC. Then we get into the defense. The defensive line. Defensive end Marcus Lawrence, 10.5 sacks. They also acquired defensive end Robert Quinn, who isn't the player that he used to be a couple of years ago when he was an all-pro, had 19.5 sacks, 10.5 sacks a year before. He's still a very solid and productive defensive end. Last season for the Miami Dolphins, he had 6.5 sacks, which is pretty solid. And with the Dallas Cowboys, you can expect that number to go up since DeMarcus Lawrence is now going to be demanding a lot of attention, probably going to be getting some double teams as well. Then you have Robert Quinn on the other side of the ball who can take some pressure off DeMarcus Lawrence as well, and he can contribute as well. Then he have a very good defensive tackle rotation with Malik Collins, Tyron Crawford. Both those guys both combined for 8.5 sacks last season, which is pretty solid from a defensive tackle standpoint. Not a lot of defensive tackles can even get 5 sacks. And then we look at the linebacker position. The Dallas Cowboys have the best linebacking core in all of football. You got Sean Lee, you got Jalen Smith, you got Leighton Vander Esch, who I believe was one of the best rookies in all of the NFL last season. Then in the secondary, you have cornerback Byron Jones. Although he had no interceptions last season, he had 14 pass breakups. And he was rated by Pro Football Focus as the 12th best cornerback in the NFL in 2018, and is a top 25 cornerback by Pro Football Focus as well. Then you have safety Xavier Woods, who in his second season playing in the NFL had 2 interceptions and 9 pass breakups. I hate to say it and I hate to admit it as a diehard Pittsburgh Steelers fan, but this Dallas Cowboys team is without a doubt one of the best teams in the NFL. They're very complete, have a very complete roster. It's not really a lot of weaknesses in this team. Besides a little bit of inconsistency out of the cornerback position, this Dallas Cowboys team is legit. They're one of the best rosters in all of football, top to bottom. Off the line is one of the best in all of football. Dak Prescott, he's a solid quarterback. You got one of the best running backs in all of football in Ezekiel Elliott. Then you also get the addition of Jason Witten, who's coming out of retirement, who, although won't do a lot, he brings leadership to that Dallas Cowboys team and to that Dallas Cowboys locker room. Then on the defensive side of the ball, you have a very good defensive line, one of the best defensive lines in all of football, a very solid defense. We already touched on the linebacking core. The Dallas Cowboys are the best team in the NFC. You're not going to find a roster in the NFC that is more complete than the Dallas Cowboys. You can talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles have a pretty good team, but their linebacking core isn't as good as what the Dallas Cowboys are. You can talk about the LA Rams. The LA Rams are a very good team, But this is a team that lost 3 starters on the defense side of the ball. The Dallas Cowboys, ladies and gentlemen, in my opinion, are the best team in the NFC. And they are my pick to win the NFC conference and make it to the Super Bowl and represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. And that's why the Dallas Cowboys are my pick to win the NFC. Let me know what you guys think about this video down in the comment section down below. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. And also make sure to share the video as it helps spread the word of the channel. And thanks for watching.